Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So we've just come past the end of August. I thought I'd give you another garden update and show you if we managed to make a recovery of this season. I know it's been a tough season for many, but let's see what we can recover. And I'll give you a little bit of an update around the problems that I've had and some of the solutions that I found to them. So if you remember my last video at the end of July tour, the garden was looking quite bare, but the weather's picked up and a lot of things have started to recover. And let's have a look in here. I haven't been in this garden for a little while, so things are going a little bit wild in here and things are getting a little bit out of hand. So let's get it back into shape again. So we've got a tomato down here that's gone a little bit crazy. So we'll tie that in. Get these bottom suckers off. If it was early in the season, then I would have said, you know, plant the suckers and get yourself an extra tomato plant. But with this late on in the season, it's not worth it. There's a bunch of tomatoes on that sucker there. See, that sucker's got too big, but there's a bunch of tomatoes on it, so I'll take this leaf head off. See, we're coming up to that time of year when you might want to start thinking about topping your tomato plants. I think this one I am going to top, just because I don't think it's going to produce any more. If these trusses set, that's perfect. It's good enough for me. But we've got pumpkins, young pumpkins coming on here. It's very late, so I don't know how far they're going to get to maturity. If we get a decent September, I think they should get to a decent size, and we'll have something from them. But here's another tomato that's just been left and it's gone a little bit wild. I was hoping that pumpkin had come this way a little bit, but it's decided to do its own thing and go a completely different direction to the one we want. But this tomato has gone a little bit wild. Let's see if we can get this guy under control again. I'm going to top these as well. There we go. See, we've had a lot of wind damage recently. We had some quite severe storms, so everything's a little bit bent out of shape because of that. That's a big sucker. Nothing on it, that can go. Now this is how it should have looked a month ago, with the squash running across the bottom, sunflowers coming up the top. Those sunflowers should have bloomed and we should have had nice big heads on them, but everything's just so far behind. But I'm not giving up yet. This is the optimism of a gardener. I'm just not giving up yet. Yeah, I'm going to top those ones. So what I'm thinking is any of the bigger tomatoes, definitely start topping those. And then maybe looking at the size of the smaller tomatoes, you know, the cherry tomatoes, and maybe leaving those a little bit longer before I top them. Look at these beauties, absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? There's all these tomatoes that have just gone a bit haywire in here. Let's fix this guy up. There we go. It's in much better shape now. So alhamdulillah, we've got lots of chilies in pots. These younger plants, the ones that are smaller in size, these are going to be the ones that we're going to be overwintering. They're going to be much easier to overwinter as well, just because of the size of them. They won't take too much trauma. They'll be okay. They'll do quite well when we overwinter them. So if you remember the tragedy I talked about with my naga, now this is one naga plant that I managed to save, and here, look at these beauties. So these are the seeds that I've been saving for myself for quite a few years, and I managed to save a few plants. Not my usual naga plants, but a few managed to, survived. So if we can get a few of those ripening, we'll get seeds again for next year. My mum harvested a load of these amaranth plants a couple of days ago, and I posted that on Patreon, a little picture about that. But we got some really chunky amaranth plants from here. There's lots of Bangladesh Yuri or some hyacinth beans growing everywhere, really doing well. We've been getting regular harvests of those, so that's one positive we have had this year. And look at the size of those amaranth plants. They're almost as tall as I am. So I had another wood chip and tree delivery recently. So I'm just laying a bit of fresh wood chip on the paths because I've got loads, and what else am I going to do with it? Remember these bottle gourd plants? They weren't doing too good. If you notice these carrier bags on the plant, these carrier bags aren't just here for decoration, but each one holds a bottle gourd inside, and there's probably about a kilo there. We've got the runner beans climbing all over, and they're starting to set fruit. I mean, on that side, the runner beans have been really weak this year, but this bed, the first set of plants got eaten, second set of plants have come through, and they're doing okay. More bottle gourds just hanging out in these carrier bags. I mean, the reason behind this carrier bag method is it just gives the plants a bit of a microclimate. But one thing to do is make sure that you do cut an air hole in there so any condensation can get out. Otherwise the condensation can build up and it can end up rotting. So here you can see the shape of this guy. There's a bottle gourd coming on beautifully. That's just dripping all over me. We've got bottle gourds up there. There's a few more up here that I need to tie up. My mum's pointed a few out to say tie, because that's the way in this climate that we get them to harvest. If you remember our bean arch, which is just behind the camera at the moment, I'll show you it now. We had a bit of a tragedy. So if you remember the massive winds that we had, the huge stone Lillian, I think her name was, so caused huge problems for my garden this year. There's been tragedy on top of tragedy. A massive limb tore down from there, and it landed on that hedge there, crushing this bean arch, killing this bean plant and damaging that bottle gourd vine. It just ripped a few strands straight off. So some of the beans have survived, some of them have died. The hedge has survived. And you can see the size of the limb that came down, absolutely huge chunk of wood. On top of a poor season, you get these winds that cause you even more of a setback. We need to do something about leveling these beds out, making sure that, one of the things that I'm going to aim to do at the end of this season is level these beds out, make them one level so the water tracks a lot better. And that hedge needs trimming back quite a bit as well, because light's becoming a problem here now. Where we've got potato plants that are starting to die back, now what I'm going to do is where the potato plant with this, oh look at that. So we've got potatoes that have gone a little bit green there because they've overcut. So the ones that are starting to die back a little bit, they're the ones that I'm going to harvest and pull up. Then we can have some chips tonight. There it is. Look how lovely those potatoes are. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And these are all grown. All these potatoes are just grown in wood chip. So I'm not watering. I'm not bothering with anything else. It's just pure wood chip on here. And once I plant them, I forget about the potatoes. That's it, they're done. They're in the ground, they're forgotten about. You don't need to water, you don't need to come and worry about them. No fuss. Once they're in the ground, that's it. I was hoping to get some white potatoes, but these are all red. Let's take this guy out as well. There's some white potatoes. Look at that. Beautiful. And it's the best thing about the potatoes that you grow in wood chips is they're so clean. Oh, look at that. Huge, huge potatoes. Oh, a rotten one. Ugh, nasty. Straight onto the compost pile.
Nobody could.
Yeah. There we go. See, you don't have to water these, you just plant them and forget about them. And if you really get the chance, if you get hold of some more wood chips, top them up. But other than that, plant and forget. It's easy to weed as well, you get the whole root. So I'm being selective about what I'm harvesting. I'm looking for the dead plants. When it comes to potatoes, the best place to store them is underground. And this year when I planted them, I was planting them in such a rush, I didn't get a chance to sort out where I'm planting what. So that's why if you're looking at the way I'm harvesting, it's quite random. Do you know, look at that beauty. And all this is just broken down wood chip. So there's no compost, nothing added to this, just pure wood chip, straight onto the ground. Plant your potatoes. In a couple of years' time, you have a lovely bed. Yeah, I think that's enough for tonight. So remember I told you I didn't get courgettes this year? Come with me. Ta-da! So it's the end of September, so it's the end of August, and I've finally got the first courgette of the year. Now you can tell how bad a season it's been. It's taken till the end of August to get a courgette. But the reason I said tomato is because this guy's fallen down, standing back up. There we go. Get him wrapped round. But we've made a slow sort of recovery to the season. It's still not been a fantastic season, it's been very poor. If you look at the state of my bean plants this year, look how high they are. They're really, really bad. But on these bare patches, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sowing my cover crops for the end of the year. because I want a nice green foliage going into the end of the year. And I'll show you, I'll do a video on my cover crops very shortly, because one of the questions I was asked recently was, when's the best time to plant cover crops? So plant them as soon as you've got some bare earth that you can plant on. That's the shortest answer I can give you, but I'll do something in a bit more detail very soon. Hey, look, I've just spotted a marrow. So that's the thing about courgettes and marrows. When they start coming properly. Oh, and there's lots of amsoy or purple mustard, really nice. So lots of leafy harvest coming up. But on that note, we're starting to make a recovery for the season. I hope September holds up, we get this nice weather, but remember the nights are quite cold, so you might need to give your plants a little bit of protection if the temperature starts dropping below 7 degrees-ish. So just be a little bit wary. We'll start picking up our onions soon as well. But on that note, I'm going to call it a day for this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.